There's rarely a day that goes by where I don't draw at all. Obviously there's some exceptions, like if I'm travelling or when I was approaching the end of university and I had to put all of my time and energy into finishing that, but for the most part I'd say that I draw every day and that I'm pretty consistent with it. So here in this video I want to give you some tips and pass on some advice that will hopefully help you out if you find yourself going weeks, months or however long it is without working on your art. What does it mean to be consistent? It means that you are behaving in the same way often, that you are acting in a repetitive fashion. Whatever you are doing should be beneficial to you, and you do it continuously in an effort to be more efficient and experienced. I'm looking at this in the context of art, where an artist aims to work on their craft each day. The same way a bodybuilder goes to the gym each day. They do this not only to improve, but also to maintain. I don't know about you, but if ever there was a time when I would stop drawing for a while and then return to it, I'd be a little bit rusty. It would take me some time to get back into it because I had stepped away from that familiar routine. So this is my first bit of advice, and it's to develop a routine for yourself, and that's something that ties in nicely with being consistent. You know, a routine is a sequence of actions regularly followed, and here's the thing, right? Most of us will find ourselves in a routine already. A lot of us wake up and go to bed at the same time every day. You eat breakfast, you go to work, you come home, you eat dinner, you go to sleep, and all of the other stuff in between. You could make a time schedule and list out your day-to-day tasks, and you'll most likely find out that most days are the same. You'll have the tasks that are unavoidable. You need to eat and you need to go to work, but in addition to that, there's likely some time that you have free, and working on your art could take up that time if you want it to. This time is going to pass no matter what you do, so why not try to use it more effectively? Now, nobody can tell you how to use your time. If you want to sit around playing video games all day, then go ahead, you are responsible, and I'm not one of those self-improvement gurus that are going to tell you to only be productive, and if you're not, then you are wasting time. In fact, I heard someone say the other day that time you enjoy wasting is not wasted time, and I suppose that's quite a nice perspective because we all need to find the time to do the things that we enjoy doing, no matter what that is, but there is also some balance which is necessary and sacrifice, because if you want to really excel in one area, you need to put a lot more effort into that one thing, and that means taking some time and energy away from everything else. I'd be lying if I said that I don't spend a lot of time playing video games or procrastinating in other ways, and I'd also be lying if I said that I don't spend a lot of time drawing, because I do. I really enjoy working on my art, and I've always found it to be something that I make time for, regardless of what else has to be done. Personally, I'd choose drawing over anything else. Imagine a hierarchy of importance in relation to enjoyment. I'd say that drawing would be at the top, and I'd rather spend my free time drawing than doing anything else. But again, that brings me back to the word balance, because there's probably a lot of you who can relate when I say that if I spend too much time drawing, and I mean a lot of time drawing continuously, then I get burnt out. You see, we are not machines, at least not yet anyways, but there comes a point where it's time to put the pencil down and go to sleep, or then go play video games. I guess overall it comes down to what you decide is most important to you, and for those people who might not trust themselves in making that decision, then think about it in terms of what's more beneficial to you. Because, although these other things that you do and enjoy are fun, when it comes down to it, in the long run, you might find working on your art to be more fulfilling and satisfying. There's a lot of opportunity in our world today, but there's also a lot more distractions, and sometimes it can be hard to pull yourself away from it all, especially when there's this instant gratification that comes along with it, this dopamine hit that we get from these things, and when all of this is competing with something like drawing, which for me is more of a slow build, before you get that satisfying feeling of finally finishing a piece that you've been working on for a while, if that is competing with all of these other things, then yeah, it's going to be hard hard to sometimes convince yourself to sit down and get to work. So in regards to developing some form of a routine, which includes some time that you dedicate to working on your art, you want to plan in advance and tell yourself what you are going to do beforehand. This will help you avoid overthinking doing something due to you not knowing what you are doing. A task always seems a lot more daunting when you think about it, but once you get started, you begin to work onwards and you enjoy what you are doing. You also need to give yourself a reason to do something, which leads me on to my next piece of advice. It's all well and good to have a consistent routine, but if you have no real direction or something to aim for, then you might not be working as efficiently as you could be. You see, it's good to be consistent, but you can be consistent at doing the wrong thing. Now, of course, there's really no wrong thing if you don't have a goal for yourself, because if you have nothing to aim for, then who knows what's right and what's wrong. So, create a goal for yourself. This doesn't have to be anything ambitious and overwhelming. It could simply be to get better at drawing, or to literally just draw every day. And that's it. Then it wouldn't matter what you do, as long as you draw every day. But I suppose if you are drawing every day, then it's likely in an effort to improve, right? I mean, that's why a lot of us aim to be consistent as possible, because that's a factor in improving faster. When it comes to creating a goal, just ask yourself why you want to draw and what you want to do with it. Your answers to these two questions will give you a better understanding and reasoning for everything. For example, I want to draw because I enjoy creating artwork. It's really the process of doing it that satisfies me. So then the next question would be, what do I want to do with it? And well, I'd like to share my creations with an audience, post my work online, be part of a community of people with similar interests. Those are my answers, and so from that, I can justify spending all of my time doing this. You might wonder why it's so important to have a goal, even if it's so basic. Well, what it does is it gives you a why. It gives you a reason to go sit down at your desk and start drawing. It helps you get past those distractions because you're able to recognize why you are doing something. I suppose I have somewhat ordered these tips that I'm discussing throughout this video in a linear fashion because, once you have a routine and a goal, that should all motivate you to show up and work on your art every day. As a result of doing this, you will build momentum. Now, this is something that I think is undervalued. You hear a lot of people talk about having a goal and all of that, but you don't hear momentum being discussed nearly as much, and I don't get that because for me, it plays a really big part in being consistent with my work. I like to think of it like a streak, right? Let's say a week has gone by and you have spent some time in each of those days drawing. At the end of the week, you'll feel pretty good about yourself. You've made a small amount of progress with your art and you're excited to carry on. Just on a side note, progress isn't really a good short-term measurement to judge your success, and I'll explain what I mean by that. If you are a beginner, then you are likely comparing your older artwork with your more recent stuff to see how you've improved, to track your progress, because progression is a good indicator of success, right? But I'd also advise you to take probably a more encouraging approach, and in this case, view your success based on how consistent you are, because drawing is a long-term endeavour. Results aren't going to show instantly, and they won't show at all unless you work on your craft often. So I'd advise you to judge your success based on your performance as an artist, showing up every day and getting to work. If you start to build some momentum, you'll be encouraged to carry on, and you'll find that it gets surprisingly easy, to the point where it can even become habitual to sit down and work on your art. And this is the point that you want to get to. Now that's the pretty side of momentum. There is a darker side, which is the loss of momentum, the destroyer of consistency. In fact, I have fallen victim to it recently. Not when it comes to drawing, but when it comes to the gym. Yeah, I'm sad to reveal that I haven't been working out nearly as much as I was a few weeks ago, and when I do, I don't work out as hard. I just don't have it in me. I mean, I know I do, but that's not how I feel when I'm in the gym. I just don't have the motivation to carry on, but I'm not being too hard on myself for reasons surrounding the fact that it's 2020 and there's a global pandemic going on. But the reason why I've brought up my situation with the gym is because you can draw many parallels with an example like this when it comes to drawing or being consistent with anything. If you miss a day or two or three, it can be hard to get back into the swing of things. All of a sudden you've deviated away from the regular routine that you've spent days or weeks abiding to, and now you feel like you have let yourself down. And you know what I say to this? I say, who cares? Just don't overthink it. Jump right back on the path and start again. The reality is, you probably haven't lost anything if it's been a few days, but the longer you wait, the rustier you will become. But it's still fun. There's no better time than the present to get going again. I should really take my own advice and get back in that gym. There is a benefit to having all of these, what I would normally consider distractions in our lives. Social media applications and all of the other resources that you can imagine allows you to document whatever you want. I'm a big believer in documenting your progress and development as an artist. It's something that I did when I started to pursue art seriously. In fact, it's what led me to create this YouTube channel. Some of my oldest videos are time-lapse drawings, and over these years I have evolved my work to where it is today, and you have these images on Instagram or videos on YouTube which allow you to see that. I also recommend having a work journal where you can write stuff down and keep track of what you need to work on. I find that creating lists allows me to manage my time better, and it reminds me what I need to get done. Let's say that you only have a few hours in a day to draw, then you want to be making the most out of that time that you have. A lot of people can waste time. They might be thinking about what they want to draw or whatever it might be, and this can sometimes easily be avoided by planning in advance and writing down your ideas in a journal. What's also good about documenting your progress is the fact that you are able to see your progress. If you do this for a while, you'll be able to look back months or years down the line and see how far you have come. It's very motivating to see some evidence that you are improving your abilities, but without contradicting what I said earlier about not looking for short-term progress, I'd alternatively focus on how much drawing you are doing over that time frame. Keep a diary of what you do each day and take pride in your work ethic and the fact that you are consistent with what you do. Throughout this video I've given you a lot of advice and talked about how I'm able to be more consistent with my art. Now, some people might not benefit as much as others when they apply what I have discussed here. We are all different and we each have our own way of operating. You'll likely have your own approach and process when it comes to creating art. I know that some people prefer to work at night, whereas I'm the opposite. I always work best in the morning, and so I developed a routine which complements that. Although I am more efficient when working in the morning, I seem to have better ideas at night, and I came to realise this about myself after years of drawing and working out what works for me. So in addition to everything that I have talked about, I want to conclude this with another piece of advice, which is to figure out what works best for you. Drawing and creating artwork is not only a diverse subject, but it's also a very personal one. What influences your work, what you find interesting, how you interpret the world. It's all subjective and nobody can tell you how to work. What you do outside of your artistic endeavours also plays a part. It's your life experiences which inform your art, so don't discard time spent doing other things because, trust me, there's been times in my life where I haven't been doing anything other than being sat inside drawing, and whilst at first it might be enjoyable, over time it turns into more of a chore, and I keep going back to that weird balance because that's what is really important. And that is where I am going to end this video, so if you found any of this helpful then please leave a like. If you want to stay up to date with the videos that I put out in the future then be sure to subscribe with the notifications on. If you'd like to support the channel further then do consider checking out the Patreon page where I create some exclusive content, and with all that being said, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.